look at your bank account, your financial statement, and you're at $40 million net worth. How did this happen, Boris?
I wasn't born with any kind of silver spoon in my mouth. I had like a 400 credit score. I had nothing to my name. I had to basically just move back in with my parents in order to make it happen. I remember sitting in a chicken shack, holding onto that check, $250,000, and I'm like, wow, what did I just do? You know what I mean?
First deal, how old are you at this time?
But I was 28.
What did you do with that money?
I retired my dad. It's the most important thing. Got him a car. Here's your car, paid off, insurance, whatever you want. No more headache. You know, that's the very first thing I said is like, Dad, you don't have to worry about it anymore. I got it. This money is not a freedom. This money is a responsibility, which means I'm responsible to myself now in order to make this grow. I'm a very contrarian type of guy, and a lot of the gurus, experienced investors push now, I don't agree with. Most people that do that kind of strategy end up making $200 on average in a property per month. That is not making anybody any money. I've realized that appreciation is a wealth maker. Cash flow is a wealth maintainer. I get a call from Russell one day, and he's like, hey man, I got this guy that has a bunch of Class C apartment complexes, and we want to see if you can list it. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me more about it. He told me it was like 167 units, so he's looking for a broker that really knows about that kind of space. I'm like, that's great, Russell. You didn't call the broker though. I'm like, you call the buyer. I'm buying it.
So 160 units, what did he offer it to you at?
We settled on $5.5 million. Held them for 6 months and then turned around and sold them for $10.7 million.
You made over $5 million in profit.
After paying the fees, taxes, and everything like that, it was like $4.6 million.
I still remember when you closed this deal, and I think I was like, dude, you're full of shit. I said, show me your bank account. You pulled up your bank account, and you showed me, and I was like, holy shit. Welcome to another episode of Pick Up the Phone podcast. I'm your host, Josue Llanas. I help people scale their businesses with people, software, and AI. Today I have the good pleasure of having Boris Sanchez here with me. He's a good friend of mine. Been really good friends for a long time. We talk about business all the time, but one of his major accomplishments is he's finished his first commercial deal at a very young age in 2013, and he retired his dad from that deal. He did his first million at 32 years young. And just recently, well, like in 2022, you reached a $40 million net worth. So hell of an intro there, I'd say.
Yeah,
Boris.
hell of an intro.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Can I say it better myself?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. So thank you so much for being here. I think we have a lot to talk about, bro.
Yeah.
Because
as usual.
Someone doesn't just stand up or get up in the morning and boom, you look at your bank account or your financial statement and you're at $40 million net worth, right? So like this obviously happens over time. How did this happen, Boris?
I mean, honestly, a lot of ups and downs. You know, I took a lot of licks. You know, it's one thing that I do want to kind of remain constant is that like I wasn't born with any kind of silver spoon in my mouth.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you know, at some point, at various points in my life, it didn't have anything at all.
Right.
You know, and so what I want to talk about today is having the mentality to go through it all, ups and downs, you know, especially, you know, us guys that hustle, and, you know, we don't like the 9 to 5. We're just not built for that. We go through a lot of up and down, you know, and so it's just having the stability to maintain yourself and maintain your mindset through all this, you know.
Right. Yeah, I love that. So let's talk real quick, man. How did you get started in real estate? What was that like?
Sure. So I got started, you know, about 15 years ago. I had been a serial entrepreneur up until that point. I got started. My first business was at 7 years old.
No kidding.
You know, and yeah, you know, immigrant from South America. I came here at 11. I still own businesses while I was in kind of transition. I've had it all. I had an e-commerce business, I had consulting businesses, I had a car dealership, I had a car dealership consulting business.
What?
Yeah, and so I got started in real estate about 15 years ago after I sold my car dealership and after I had gone and gotten a master's degree abroad in London. I came back and yeah, I kind of just started falling for real estate as I made more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. So you got started about 15 years ago. What was your first introduction in real estate? What was that like?
It was to be an LO. So I worked for my brother's company, Gold Quest, for
and for the people that are watching or listening to this, what's an LO?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a mortgage loan officer.
Okay.
So I was a mortgage broker, pretty much.
Right.
I've got people, home loans, and that's what my job was. I didn't really like it, but I did get to learn a lot about real estate from it.
Yeah.
I started investing in home flips and
Yeah.
flipping houses right alongside when I was also a mortgage loan officer. And then I get started brokering loans for commercial real estate, and that's when really it all came together for me. Because I said, okay, I really like these two type of assets, but they're really not the same. They are alike, but they're not the same. And so I did not like a lot about just house flipping, where I was just, kind of leaving it up to God to actually get somebody to buy this house, and then I can make my profit, and then I can pay my rent and all that stuff. I didn't really like that.
Yeah.
I wanted an asset that I could invest in and make cash flow while it was sitting in the market,
Right.
And so I wanted the best of both worlds, and I found that in commercial real estate.
Nice. Nice. I love that. So obviously you didn't get started with commercial real estate. You got started first with doing the LO. How did you transition then into going into commercial real estate?
Yeah, so I found actually an eightplex in the very hood part in East Houston, close to Channel View. Yeah, I just said, I'm going to apply the same hard money loan, the same kind of loan that home flippers use, where you get, up to 100% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab. And I was probably the first one in Houston to use that product on commercial real estate.
Nice.
And the only way I was able to convince my lender to do it is because there was actually two fourplexes side by side. Fourplexes, as people know, are qualified as like one SFH or single family home. And so that same product can apply to a fourplex, and especially two fourplexes.
Right.
And so, I bought it for $140,000. I renovated for $60,000. And then, obviously went to, to all the hoops of getting it fully leased and everything. 12 months after I closed on that property, I had sold it for $450,000, making me around $250,000 net, with including the rents that I had made for that year.
That's insane.
So it really opened my eyes.
So your first deal, how old are you at this time?
I'm 40 now.
You're 40.
Yeah.
But when you're doing this first deal, how old are you at that time?
I was 32.
32.
No, I'm sorry. No, that's a lie. It was 10 years ago. So I was 28.
You were 28.
I was 28. Yeah.
So you're 28 and you're an LO. And I mean, what 28-year-old do you know that is making a $250,000 spread on a deal?
I mean, obviously back then it had.
It's still a lot of money now.
It's a lot of money now, and especially back then after the recession, there wasn't a lot of people making it. I was used to making $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on a home flip and waiting forever to actually get it done.
Right.
And so this was, I remember sitting in a polleria, in a chicken shack, just thinking, holding on to that check that I just received from the title company, for $250,000, and I'm like, wow, what did I just do? You know what I mean?
Whatever
what did I do right? What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
And I started exploring it after that. I started scaling after that, which is the most important thing.
Right. So first deal, you make $250,000. What did you do with that money?
I retired my dad. Was the most important thing, because I got him a car. I retired him in the sense of like, Dad, you don't have to work anymore. Like, you have your mortgage guaranteed. Here's your car paid off, insurance, whatever you want. No more headaches. Up until that point, it had been like every year. My dad was he was getting up there in age. He was a retiring geophysicist. So he was in the oil and gas business.
Right.
So he was always kind of having trouble finding work because of
Right.
his age, because there was young cats actually doing his job for much cheaper. And so I said, that's the very first thing I said is like, Dad, you don't have to worry about it anymore. I got it. Even though, to be honest, $250,000 may not be enough to guarantee somebody retirement.
Right.
I said it because I'm like, Dad, from now on, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to commit myself to it.
Yeah. And I think that goes a lot to show where you're at mentally, right? Because not only, it's great to make money, right? But why do we do it, right? We do it for the right reasons. And so, I think from what you just said, it just shows that you were doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it for your family, right?
Right.
And so when you do it for something that's outside of you, I feel like it's just so much more fulfilling. And you're able to make such an impact on someone that's important as your father. I mean, I think that's incredible, dude. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And you coming from Colombia, you guys are coming over here as immigrants. You guys, like, at this point, dude, you're living the American dream at this point, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that day I really lived the American dream. It was like the first time I'm like, okay, great. I don't have to freaking starve anymore.
Yeah.
Not that I was before, but I honestly, in terms of like somebody who's always striving for the next level,
Yeah.
I felt like I was. And like I said, there has been several times in my life where I've been kind of, as a serial entrepreneur, I've been screwed over, been down and out. After coming back from London and getting my degree, I had like a 400 credit score. I had nothing to my name, nothing. I had to basically just move back in with my parents in order to make it happen.
Yeah.
And then, it built it from there. So, I mean, I've been through the ringer.
Yeah.
That was the first moment where I'm like, wow, okay, I think I found my calling.
I love that. I love that. Every single guest that I've had here to this date has always mentioned some sort of hardship,
Yeah.
No one has had it easy.
No.
And I think that goes a lot to show that for anyone that's listening to this, right? A lot of people are like, they're right there. They're going through the ringer. They're going through that hardship, and hey, it's okay, right? Because as long as you have air in your lungs, right, and a beat in your heart, you can keep on going. You can get better. You can improve, and you can get the skills that are necessary to potentially get to your level, to other people's levels, and if that's what people want, right? So I think that's incredible, man.
Exactly.
So what happened after this, bro? You got your first deal.
Yeah.
Made $250,000.
Yeah.
What's
So
next?
I started, obviously I didn't go out, all, and buy myself a Lambo or anything like that. I retired my dad and I, purchased that. But the majority of the money, that's what it meant to me back then, is this is a responsibility. This money is not a freedom. This is especially if I'm building my career, this money is a responsibility, which means I'm responsible to myself now in order to make this grow.
Yeah.
And so I started scaling, and I bought another 8plex. I bought a 7plex, and I kind of did the same thing. I started experimenting a lot with 1031 exchanges and what that meant. I using that same kind of model where I'm buying very cheap kind of multifamily, and then putting nice ends and putting walls to separate, one bedrooms and making them into 2 bedrooms and stuff like that, just building value. And I just started experimenting with building value. And one thing I did notice is that, look, if I build value for property, it's going to mean a lot of profit in the end.
Right.
Now I realize I can build value on people, and it means even more, right? But
And we'll get into that.
we'll get into that in
Yeah,
a second.
I
Exactly.
love
So
that.
after I sold that 8plex, and I had, was kind of experimenting with like, all right, what if I keep some and I keep them from cash flow? What if I refinance and I cash out of this? And I was able to buy a 46-unit apartment complex in 2017. And that's when it really started taking off for me. I'm like, okay, great. I got independent. I stopped working for my brother's company at that point. And I just dedicated my full time to this cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So your 46 unit, was that like your 4th or 5th deal, or was it?
It was probably my 4th deal. Yeah.
Your 4th deal. You just went balls deep into it.
I just said, you know what? The numbers make sense. I got the money for it. 1031 is waiting for $150,000. I had developed some banking contacts that allowed me to do good things then.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, why not? Let's do it.
And for the people that don't know what a 1031 exchange is, can you explain that real quick?
So basically, in layman's terms, is when you can take the profit off of one property and you can use it to buy a bigger property,
Right.
and not pay any taxes on that profit,
Right.
which allows you to scale. And it's great because, especially if you don't have a lot of real estate or a lot of expenditures in that year, to kill it is great. That's good news for you. But now you're going to give half to Uncle Sam. Nobody wants that, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, that's a good way to kind of mitigate that tax.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So you did the 1031. You're buying your 46 unit. You mentioned a lot of things like being creative, right? Like adding different walls and doing extra things to these units, things that maybe a lot of people were not doing at the time. Where did you get these ideas to
I
all these
just, I
things?
just started experimenting with adding value. I was like, okay, there's obviously space here. What can I do? It was more than just, make the kitchens pretty and the bathrooms pretty and lease it up for as most as I can. Like, what value can I bring my tenants? Okay, they want security. I pulled in a fence. Maybe that can raise the rents. They didn't have laundry and they had to walk 2, 3, 4 blocks to just do their laundry. I'm like, well, I'm just going to build, a laundry facility here, and that's, a coin operated facility. And so I just kind of like, throwing these little ideas that I had into the mix, and that actually proved to be very useful, because if you know anything about commercial valuation, you know that any money that the property brings is multiplied when it comes to valuation. I mean,
Right.
sometimes, and a lot of times, it can be up to, 50 times that dollar can mean up to 50 times on the value.
Right.
If you are, not to get too advanced, but if you know about cap rate valuation.
Right, right, right. And where did you learn all of this? Right? Because at the time, I mean, I don't know if that was something that was like common. Now we have YouTube and we have all these different resources online, but before, it was just good old books, maybe some seminars, stuff like that. How did you learn all of this?
That's a good point. Back then, the knowledge wasn't as common. There were not a lot of YouTube videos. There was one resource that I really used. It's called Investopedia. For you listeners that please use Investopedia. It's great if you just kind of want to look it up. Now I guess you can chat GPT it, right? I guess.
Yeah.
But back then there was no chat GPT. I had to look things up on my own, read appraisals. I don't know if anybody's actually ever read an appraisal, but appraisals are chock full of information about how to value a property, and I have plenty of them. Yeah.
You would read appraisals?
I would read an appraisal, and then I would just be like, and that actually became my hobby for a little while. It's like I was addicted to information.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I know that if I do this and I do this, and multiplies when it comes to valuation, and cap rate valuation means this, and this is where I find a cap rate. And so I became addicted to information. And that's one thing that I do want your listeners to take away today, is become addicted to learning.
Yes.
Once you know something works, then you become even more, but you kind of have to take my word for it. You kind of want to get there,
right,
so you can actually earn more.
Yeah.
But I just did it kind of foolishly into it. And when I went in, I was just like, okay, maybe I'll make $1,000 on cash flow.
Yeah.
And I ended up making $250,000.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you definitely have the status and obviously the reputation and the experience to be able to say things like, hey, you need to listen to me. You know what I mean? As someone that has a $40 million net worth, it's not something to take lightly. So for anyone that's listening, get addicted to information.
That's right.
let me just make sure I say that. And I think you dropped the golden nugget, man, because I've gone through appraisal reports, right?
Yeah.
But I haven't gone as so much as to read it like fully like that, right?
Yeah.
So now that you mentioned that, I'm like, dude, I want to get back home and read one now.
Everyone just kind of wants to see the first few pages, especially in a commercial report. Like you see the third page says, okay, and this is the big value.
Exactly.
But you go into it and it's like, okay, why were those comparables picked? Why was this property like?
And there's an explanation on there, right? On why it was picked.
Yeah, because obviously the comparables are one thing, but then you get into the cash flow and it's like, okay, what does the income of the property have to do with the valuation, right?
Right.
And it has a lot to do with it. Just like if you were to buy a restaurant and you wanted to sell more steaks, after you sells more steaks, it's going to be valued more.
Yeah.
How exactly does that happen?
Right. Yeah. That's incredible. So from reading these appraisers and you're going through it, you realize, oh shit, there's a lot of information here. So now you get creative.
Yeah, exactly. So now I get really creative because now I'm kind of learning what I can rent things for.
Yeah.
I'm learning what people like. The more I'm doing it, the more I'm owning property, the more I can get a handle of like, okay, this is how I can make more money.
Right.
Right. And so, I started experimenting with cash outs, and that year, I cashed out and I made my first $1 million,
Nice.
I cashed out $800,000 alone on one property, and I had made some other sales that year. So yeah.
And this is you at 32 years old.
At 32 years old.
Yeah, that's insane. Incredible.
Yeah.
Let's talk real quick about your most creative deal.
Sure.
Can you share maybe just the first one that comes to mind, something that you saw, something that no one else saw?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have plenty of experience and plenty of examples when it comes to creativity. One that always kind of jumps to my mind is something that everybody can relate to. And I'm sure your listeners are asking themselves, okay, great, man, but this guy probably has access now to the best deals.
Yeah.
You know, he's got the Illuminati of deals around there. Then I can't get, that is not true. So in this example, I was looking through the MLS, just my local MLS, right? And I had found a sixplex that had been on the market for 172 days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, great. Let me go check it out. I'm curious, you know, because it really was falling apart in the pictures, but I really wanted to go see it. And so I went there, and sure enough, it was so old. The listing was so old that the realtor sign was already like on the ground. It had roots growing on it. I don't think the realtor cared very much.
Yeah.
And so
how many days on market was it at that point?
it was 172 when I remember like looking at it. I went a couple of days later, but so yeah, I saw it, I walked it, and yeah, sure enough, one of the buildings, it was 3 buildings, one of them was falling to the side. It was completely vacant. It was obviously being sold as a sixplex, but honestly, it was bare bones. It was just a building. It probably wasn't worth that much.
Right.
But I walked it, and I'm like, okay, this building, I think it was on sale for like $270,000. I put in an offer for $250,000, and I got it.
For 250?
Yeah.
What was it on the market for?
270, 275, something like that.
It was on the market for 270?
Yeah. And it was on the MLS for 172 days for everyone to see.
Right.
For 275,000. But I walked in and I said, this is not a sixplex. I can actually build an eightplex from this and get a lot more value from it.
Yeah.
And I can actually build 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and even 1 3-bedroom, 2 bath to like push the rents as most as they can. I had to get really creative on the rehab because the spaces weren't that big.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of sacrifice some living space. Come to find out, really, people really don't rent for living rooms anymore.
Yeah.
As they did in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
When people sat around and they had the fire chat and everybody listened to the radio.
Yeah.
They don't work like that anymore. It's all about bedrooms and bathrooms.
Right.
And so I built a lot of 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, built 1 3-bedroom, 2 bath. And then, made 8 units out of it. So I bought it for $250. I spent $260,000 on it. So all in, I was like maybe around $550. And 6 months down the road, I had already filled it up full of happy tenants. They were all nice. It was a beautiful complex now, completely almost brand new because I had replaced everything. And yeah, I put it on the market for $1.25 million. And 1 week after I put it on the market, I got a full price offer on it and closed 30 days later.
For how much?
1.25.
1.25.
So yeah.
So
exactly.
And you're all in at 550?
550. Yeah. After all the fees and everything like that, I cleared $600,000.
600,000 from one deal.
From one deal.
This
from
is
one little sixplex.
One little sixplex.
Yep.
That was on the market, by the way.
That was on the market.
That was on the market.
It
That
was not-
everyone
exactly.
just looked over.
Everybody picked over and everybody saw it, and it's I didn't get it from a secret place where people were like, looking at me because I'm the apartment guy. It wasn't like that. It was over in the open market. I just had to add a little creativity to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I killed it on that one.
That is a hell of a story. 600,000 from one real estate transaction is insane. And I think it goes to show, the level of creativity that you had. And not only that, but I think let's talk a little bit more about your guts, bro. I mean, that's that takes a lot of guts to say, hey, man, everyone in the world right now is not seeing what I'm seeing, and I'm gonna trust myself, and I'm gonna go and do it, and I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah. Obviously there was a lot of hoops that I had to jump over.
Yeah.
Including the city, including like parking and all that. But yeah, I'm like, you know what? F it. I'm just gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because I had known that I could probably, and this is going back to mindset and what we're talking about. If I know I'm ready to tackle any problem, it's the mentality behind it that I know I will get to it, and you probably will.
Right.
But if I had been like very risk averse, and I'm like, man, I'm a super smart guy, like I know a lot of my clients and friends are, they probably would not take a deal on like this because they know the risk of not being able to do it.
Right.
But so it's like you kind of need that readiness, you need that confidence in yourself to actually go get it. You know? But like I said, all it takes from then is just a little creativity.
Yeah, that's amazing. Where's this property at?
This is at 2514 Gano Street. If anybody wants to look it up, it's in Northside Houston.
Northside Houston? Okay, got it. Wow, what a great story, bro.
Thank you,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
a lot of creativity there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so much that I can go into there, but you know, just for the sake of staying on track with with the podcast here is
Absolutely.
I think you also are doing something that is definitely against the grain, right? And I see all the content that you're pushing out. I see you have a commercial real estate university where you teach other people how to do all of this. But one main thing that is pushed, I guess, to the masses is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, other known as
Right.
BRRR, right?
Right.
And you have a different strategy.
I do.
And
Yeah.
I mean, you care to share it with us?
Sure, of course. So let me preface this by saying that I'm a very contrarian type of guy.
Yeah.
When I started, like you guys can probably tell, I kind of taught myself. You know, I was going back to Investopedia and stuff like that, and just kind of being creative and coming up ideas all on my own. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of other deals I can tell you that went south. But,
Yeah.
you know, I took my licks and I learned my lessons.
Yeah.
But that has all kind of contributed to the fact that I am a contrarian, and a lot of the things that gurus and experienced investors push now, I don't agree with. I believe right now people think that after you flip so many houses, you can immediately go into what's called syndication or crowdfunding of a big deal.
Right.
It's when you put a bunch of investors together and you're like, let's take on this 400 unit apartment complex. There's a middle there where you're like, okay, you can own, you know, small to medium sized commercial real estate, including multifamily, all yourself. And I don't think anybody really talks about it like, you know, that openly, where you can create some wealth. You can create some, you know, some generational wealth. And so I've been in a lot of panels where I'm invited to like these huge syndication seminars, and I'm the only one talking about it. I'm like, hey, this is the wealth conference, right, for multifamily. Let's talk about active ownership where you can own 100%.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
And
I
everyone's
kill somebody
jaws-
on stage or something.
jaws
They're
dropped
like,
to the ground.
you know, this is this guy. And I'm like, okay, well, you know,
But I
guess,
think they invite you to the panels
they
now.
invite you. Yeah, they still, well, they know what I'm about now. So,
Yeah.
so they know ahead of time, they're warned. But yeah, so that by nature, I'm very contrarian. And so I've just looked at, you know, and studied all of the strategies that are pushed out there for real estate. And one of them being the BRRR method, BRRR. Like you said, buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, or something.
Yeah.
That is a very one-track mind that does not allow for creativity. And if you know by now, I'm very big on creativity.
Right.
Right. And so it's just like, you know, putting. It reminds me of that video from Pink Floyd where everybody just kind of walking into the sausage maker.
Yeah.
It's like it is like that because it's like
Herd mentality.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's herd mentality where people just kind of follow, and they're just supposed to like buy a property, rent, finance. I'll go get another one, rent, finance. It doesn't allow for scalability. It doesn't allow for sales, which is huge. And I get it. Tax mitigation is big, but that's when you have to get creative with things. I actually came up with my own strategy called the KISS method. Keep some, sell some, scale. Which actually allows you, like you know, obviously, like I just said, allows you to keep some property, obviously for tax mitigation reasons, so you can actually do some cost segregation, and you can do, you know, rapid accelerated depreciation that allows you to cover the sales that you have. Sell some, scale, right?
Right.
And so because that, in essence, it allows you to actually, okay, I'm going to keep some here. I'm going to sell some in order to scale, maybe get, you know, 4-plex, 8-plex this time. I'll get a 20-plex and keep scaling because that actually is what forms wealth. Not the, I'll get one property by one property and I'll make $200 a month. It, you know, it just doesn't work. Most BRRRers, most people that do that kind of strategy end up making $200 on average in a property per month.
Right.
That is not making anybody any money. No. Imagine how many properties that you have to have in order to actually start making it mean something.
Right.
That's five of them before you actually make $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
And $1,000 nowadays is like, oh, dude, it doesn't pay the water.
No, not at all. Yeah.
You know, so So you need something else. You need what is called forced appreciation in your life.
Right.
Forced appreciation is a form of a strategy in commercial real estate where you're forcing the appreciation up of an asset because it brings in more money, right? As opposed to a house that, if you have a $150,000 house that you bought and it's great, and you rent it for somebody that's paying $30,000 a month, it's still $150,000 house, right? That hasn't changed. That's why people should learn the valuation method between residential and commercial.
Right.
If it was commercial, then obviously it would mean a lot more, and that's called forced appreciation. So the KISS method allows you to get into forced appreciation so you can make wealth.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a whole lot of advanced things like cost segregation, right?
Yes.
Depreciation. All these things are like maybe things that a lot of the listeners do not know about, but hey, there's ChatGPT now. We're not going to go into it all that much right now.
Look it up.
Look it up, please. Get obsessed with learning,
It'll
please.
help you.
Yes. That's incredible. So in terms of, let's look at BRRRR, let's look at the KISS method.
Sure.
What do you think is the main reason why this one can scale so fast? Is because you're selling all these different properties versus just keeping them in your portfolio? I mean, you're limited by liquidity, right? You're limited by how many properties you can go and buy, right? You'd have to have some sort of active income to be able to continue scaling, right?
Right.
So if people don't have an active income, that's where, I feel like people, or a lot of the people that are teaching the BRRRR method is like, hey, you need to make a shit ton of cash to be able to scale if you're just doing this method, versus on this side, hey, you're able to buy some, force appreciation, cash out, like you said. I mean, if you're selling a property for $250,000, now you can take that money and go and put it into like 3 different projects instead of just have your equity just tied into one, right?
Yes, exactly. And so, I mean, that's why I think the BRRRR method is very, very limiting, because even for tax mitigation, it doesn't allow for depreciation or cost segregation, which is, it's basically you're telling the government that, look, I've had quote unquote losses throughout the year. And so those losses are going to cover some of the gains that I've had from the sales of other property, right? I'm proud to say that I haven't had a tax liability in 8 years, just because of that method, because I'm actually keeping some, which actually, they get depreciated in my taxes. And I'm selling some because I need the cash, I need the liquidity, like you just stated, to go buy some more and buy bigger ones,
Right.
It's actually gotten to the point that I'm actually buying all cash now. I don't have to depend on lenders because obviously it's expensive right now. It's no secret. The rates haven't been higher in like 10-something years.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you definitely need to consider these things when you're strategizing real estate.
Yeah. And so for anyone that's listening to this, they have a commercial, maybe a lead or a commercial opportunity. I mean, you're buying properties all cash. I mean, I think you're going to be more than qualified buyer than probably, 95% of people out there.
Right.
If not like 99%.
Well, right now liquidity is king too. So that, I realize that. And so I'm able to just go and just buy stuff cash. Am I keeping it cash? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes if, just to make me cash flow, but I'm also kind of, building it up and rehabbing it with cash and then selling it later.
Yeah.
To keep my costs down, to maximize my profit on the other end.
Yeah. Through our conversations, another thing that like really struck with me on one of the things that you we're hanging out with the boys, we're having a couple of drinks, but we're still talking business, right?
Right.
But one of the main things that really stuck with me and that kind of opened my eyes is you mentioned a lot of people are always talking about cash flow, right? Mm-hmm. And let's talk about how cash flow is not really the end in mind. Really, it's more of a wealth maintainer.
That's right. That's right.
But to really build wealth is in your method of keep some, sell some, scale, right?
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So obviously there's 2 types of wealth, right? Or investments. There's 2 types of investments. There's the active and there's the passive. Active is when you're actually going out there, you're hustling, you're pulling a Johnny, or you're always going out there, always doing it.
Shout out Johnny.
Shout out to Johnny. There's the passive where you kind of just put your money in an asset or in a group or something, and you just kind of let it make a return. Mm-hmm. And so you have cash flow and you have appreciation. That's how you are able to kind of differentiate. If you're active, you're probably going to be an appreciation type investor.
Right.
If you're passive, you're going to be a cash flow type investor. Right. And so because I said, you should invest in forced appreciation. It really means that forced appreciation is the one that, is going to allow you to sell, and nowadays cash out as well if you can, of the equity that you've built up, right? So you're getting these 500,000, you're getting these $250,000 checks, that those are life changing. Those are, again, going back to my first example, my first ever deal, I forced appreciated a deal without even knowing that I did, and that's what I was able to retire my debt because of it.
Yeah.
And so I invested in appreciation, and then that allowed me to make $250,000, which changed my mindset, changed my life. That is what people want. That is true wealth building when you're able to do that. Now I'm here to tell you that obviously don't just do one. You want to do more than one deal.
Right.
So in essence, you're going to have to start covering those taxes by buying other property that you can cash flow from, and you can keep it so you can depreciate that against the wins that you've had on the other side, on the sell side. And so, through doing it all these years, I've realized that, now I can say that appreciation is a wealth maker,
Right.
and cash flow is a wealth maintainer. BRRRR method is great, but it only maintains your current level of wealth. Anybody out there listening, $200 a month on one deal, it's going to maintain your current level of wealth. I'm sorry, it's just not going to build any wealth,
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a surprise to nobody. But it is when you get $200,000 check, and then you say, okay, now I'm somewhere.
Right.
Now I can go buy my Lambo. I'm
Right.
just kidding. Now I can
Delayed
invest.
gratification.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you can invest in the rest, and invest and do it all over again to build that and get to that $1 million payday, that $10 million payday. That's what you want, and that's how people really make money in real estate, not through cash flow.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I know there's probably people at home, and they're probably thinking to themselves, well, Boris, you did this deal in 2013, and that was a different market, different interest rates. You don't know in 2025. Obviously, we have the naysayers. So,
Yes.
What can you say, or maybe talk about maybe some of the recent deals that you've done, or how you're making money today in today's market, in today's environment in 2025?
Yeah, sure. So, I've been doing this for a while now. So folks have asked me, hey, how can I buy deals? Let me buy deals, that you're buying and all that. So I had to start brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
And so my brokerage, we specialize in finding deals like that. And then we actually started finding loans for these deals for my clients. And so now we package deals up, loan and property together, and kind of teach people. And, the education side is huge, because we teach people how they can also own their own property. Don't just, put your money and invest in it. Obviously, you'll need time, which you have to kind of figure out. So, but I'm here to say that, yes, for a while we didn't see cheap prices, and I was able to pull that off. But now I'm getting, prices where I haven't seen in like 13 years.
Really?
Yeah, I just bought a complex the other day for the same price that I bought my very first deal, in Houston, in the city.
Really?
Just obviously, now different costs, but I'm sure, with some creativity, people can make a lot from it. So don't give yourself those excuses. Enjoy the moment now, and take advantage of the moment right now, where prices haven't been cheaper in at the very least 10 to 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so, obviously you're going to have the really, really high deals, the $100,000 per unit deals. Keep digging, keep making offers, keep looking at deals. Train your mind to actually look at deals and differentiate between a good and a bad deal.
Right.
And you will get that golden nugget.
Yeah. I agree 100%. So, where do you, if you're buying a property at the same price that you did, years ago, then there's definitely some sort of correction then, right? Would you say that? Yeah,
there has been a price correction. And I hear it just before the podcast started. Somebody came by and asked them about their business, and they were like, well, what buyers are paying and what sellers are selling is there's a really big difference there. I'm like, that is true. That is the worst thing that can happen in real estate, is when both sides don't see each other.
Right. And then nothing happens.
And then nothing happens. You have a big delta, what I call a delta. What sellers think their property's worth and what buyers are willing to buy. And so now we're seeing that difference start to shrink.
Right.
And so now is a great time to get in and
Yeah.
buy.
Yeah. Definitely a buyer's market right now for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So leads me to the next question. Where do you see? I mean, you definitely have a lot of experience. You're tied into the market. Where do you see the market going in the next year, the next 2 years?
I mean, I've seen somewhat conflicting reports of housing. I think if you were to able to believe the housing reports, that housing is down, that sales are down year over year, month over month, and so some people are calling for a recession, which I think is it's great. You know, that means great things for commercial and residential real estate. If you've always wanted to buy a house, now is it. You know,
Right.
it's probably gonna get more expensive from here. Let's let's be realistic about it. And so you know what they say, like yeah, of course, the two best times to buy real estate was 20 years ago, and the other one is today.
Right.
That's never been more true.
Right. Yeah.
Because you are nearing 20-year-old prices.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah. So buy today is what you're saying.
Buy today. Of course you can, right? Buy tomorrow. Don't wait to buy tomorrow, and don't have analysis paralysis.
Right.
If a deal pencils out and worst case scenario that the numbers still make sense, then go for it.
Yeah. And one thing that I love about what you do, bro, is that you actually help people put the whole deal together. Not only do you find people the deal, you broker the deal, you offer the financing to actually buy the deal, and you even have a commercial real estate university where you even teach people how to make money on the back end of the deal. So one-stop shop to make a lot of money with Boris Sanchez.
That's it. One-stop shop.
Yeah.
So Crew was started about a year ago. I launched it, and it's an online university. I used to teach these classes live, and it was 7 days of like 5-hour courses.
Yeah.
It was good. I've never had anybody complain about the knowledge that I passed on, but I did have complaints on like, hey man, it's just a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's information overload.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we created something online where it was actually filmed in one of the classes, and we have over 30 hours of content where you can stop and go as much as you want.
Yeah.
There's quizzes, there's stuff like that, so you can kind of test yourself. But it's great, like I said, I've never gotten a complaint. And the commercial real estate investment information is all there packaged all in one.
Yeah, I mean, as someone that actually went through your course, your life course, I mean, I had the good pleasure of like seeing it all in person.
Right.
And even me myself, that I've been in real estate and I've done transactions and whatnot. I was like, dude, this is a lot. Like, I need to take. I wish I could show you the notes that I took. I mean, I had a bunch of notes, and then some videos, some recordings, and everything. But it is a lot. It is a lot. So I'm glad that there's a resource now out there for people to be able to just, hey, Boris, I want to be able to just go in and like learn everything from you. But dude, I know I'm gonna get overwhelmed. So let me just watch it at home whenever I'm cooking or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Dude, that's pretty incredible. Let me ask you a question, dude. What has been your worst deal so far?
Worst deal. Probably, I mean, it was a 12-unit complex that really went awry. Had everything go wrong on it that under the sun that could ever go wrong.
This is the one that had a fire and a flooding?
Yes. It was honestly the complex from hell. That's what it was. And so it was a complex that I bought for $350,000. It was me doing my same old thing. I was gonna add a lot of value. I was going to flip it and make a bunch of money. But then everything started going wrong. I hired the wrong contractor first because I went and I found the cheapest contractor I could, and he really messed up and he just took off. And then while I had another contractor, I had break-ins and materials were being stolen on the daily. There was at one point the crew started finding cash machines being dug out of the ground.
What?
Because apparently somebody had been burying cash machines full of cash.
Cash machines?
Cash machines, like stolen cash machines from stores.
Yeah.
And then
are you talking about like the cash counters?
Yeah,
or?
like when you had the whole cash thing, not the flip thing anymore.
Okay.
Right, when you actually had cash and I guess people had been stealing them and burying them in the ground, and then they started coming out because of the rain. At one point, this is probably as well, actually right before that, hurricane, what was it? The one happened in 2017, I believe. Is
Hurricane
there
Ike?
Hurricane Ike or some? No, that was Ike. It was 2007. Either way, they had a hurricane. A flood happened, and all of the city was underwater. So I had all the first floor flood. Come to find out that after claiming insurance, the insurance company only covers the physical aspect of it, right? But in the city of Houston, if you remove a bunch of sheetrock, you're going to be held to new standards, which means that you have to remove and replace all the plumbing, all the electrical, and stuff like that. The insurance doesn't cover that.
Yeah.
It's come to find out, they just replace the sheetrock. They don't replace everything, underneath it.
Yeah.
And so I had to, have that out of pocket. After everything had been fully built, this crackhead broke into one of the buildings. I fell asleep, and the crack pipe lit the whole place on fire. And that would be great if I had like insurance, but I didn't.
You didn't have insurance.
It had lapsed. It had lapsed after I had asked the insurance company to renew it. They didn't, and so yeah, that was a whole big mess. Now I had to get into it with the insurance and sue them. It was a nightmare, man, and I ended up just kind of rebuilding it out of pocket. And so it was a complete nightmare. It taught me a lot about double checking and security and having the right contractor and double checking your insurance and everything like that. Yeah. It just, everything happened.
Yeah. So you bought it for $350.
I bought it for $350.
What was your initial budget on
My
construction
initial
costs?
budget was $250,000.
$250K
It
tops.
wasn't gonna be. I was gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Deal.
Yeah.
But it ended up ballooning to over $1 million actually.
$1 million total?
Total.
Okay, so then you spent $750K.
I spent $750,000 on the renovation.
Holy cow.
But it really came to pass where even my friends were like, we've heard everything that's happening over here at Brewster Street. And so we've hired a priest to come and bless the place. And it was like, you know what? At this point, it can't hurt unless he falls and trips and stuff like that.
Yeah. Please don't sue.
Please don't. Yeah. And so, yeah, he came, actually literally blessed the place.
Wow.
And right after that, we had just gotten started leasing up the whole property.
Yeah.
And this one sober clinic called me and they were like, we want to lease up the entire space, master lease. And I'm like, really? You'll do that? And it's like, yeah, we'll lease up the entire space. You don't have to worry about management, don't have to worry about collections. We'll pay you on the first every month. And that's called a master lease, right? And I'm like,
and they did it?
Master lease. And yeah, so they came,
wow.
They leased up the place. And I had a master lease where I wasn't paying any utilities. I wasn't paying any management. I was just collecting.
Triple net?
I was still paying taxes, so it was a double net.
Double net. Yeah. Still very solid lease.
Very solid. I didn't even have to have insurance because even canceled my insurance because they had insurance in their name. The lender was okay with it too.
Call it timing or anything, but hey.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, divine intervention, right?
Yeah. So if anyone that's listening to this, if you're going through a difficult project, call a priest. Call a priest and have them come bless your property.
That's right.
Yeah.
A little bit later than that, I was able to sell it for 1.1 something, and I barely made it out, man.
Yeah.
After all the fees and stuff like that.
But at least you broke even.
At least I broke even.
Yeah.
At least I broke even.
That's a hell of a story, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Shit.
that's a hell of a story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, definitely had some real divine intervention there. So
yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Shout out to the man above, man. Just came in and saved your ass.
Yes.
It could have been ugly.
It could have been very ugly. I could have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know? And I probably I wouldn't have been able to afford it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what had happened? I probably would have gotten back up like always, but still, the fact that was a huge lesson.
Yeah.
Where it taught me a lot of things just in one sitting.
What was your top 3 lessons from that deal?
So our top 3 is obviously double check your numbers, double check. Don't always go for the cheapest contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Don't always go for the most expensive contractor. Go for a contractor that actually is going to work on site and is going to give you reports every day because he works on site, doesn't just send somebody. And obviously make sure, double check that you have insurance. Another one would be flood insurance doesn't pay for it all. It's kind of a scam. And
really?
So, yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
So flood insurance is mandated when you're in a floodplain, right? And by a lot of lenders, you have to have it. But like I said, it only covers the aesthetics of it, you know. And then when a sheet of sheetrock gets wet, it soaks it in like a sponge, and you have to cut a certain amount of feet.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, in the city of Houston, you have to kind of replace everything behind it if you're past 4 feet, I believe.
Yeah.
And so that
So you had to
you know,
replace plumbing.
they gave me they gave me about $60,000 in that deal from the insurance, and it
Yeah.
ended up costing me double that
Wow.
Yeah,
Because
just-
of everything else you had to replace.
because everything else.
What did you have to replace? Electrical,
Plumbing, all the studs, the insulation.
You had to replace the studs also.
Oh yeah. Some of it was nasty. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it wasn't supposed to be done. It was a nice place before. We weren't going to do it because obviously didn't really need it.
Yeah.
We were grandfathered in the city and everything was safe, but now it was absolutely needed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is nuts. And so flood insurance only covers
Aesthetics.
That is such a scam.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You would think like, hey, this makes sense, right? Like everything flooded, so Mr. Insurance, you have to replace everything, right? Like everything.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not just the sheetrock.
Yeah, it's not the sheetrock, and obviously, like just because it gets wet doesn't necessarily mean that you have to replace the electrical, the plumbing. But in the city of Houston, it does. you know.
I see.
But the insurance doesn't recognize that. You know.
I see. Right. So it's like they have different qualifications, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Obviously, their main goal is to not pay as much.
Yeah.
That's how they stay in business.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Get a public adjuster. Whoever. If you have losses, please do yourself a favor. Get a public adjuster.
Yeah, that definitely helps out a lot.
absolutely.
Yeah. I learned that a lot through talking with Cody. He owns a roofing company, and I mean they fight with insurance companies all day long. Yeah, all day long. And so they bring in these public adjusters, and they really do a number for them, and they help them out a lot. So they overturn a lot of deny claims, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
For my boy Cody.
Cool.
So earlier when we were talking, you mentioned something. You mentioned forcing appreciation in properties, but you also mentioned building value into people.
Right.
So let's talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Absolutely. So the more I teach, because I've been doing this now for a while, and people come to me when I speak, I'm so grateful that I get to do these things, and people get to come up to me and ask me these things, and I'm more than glad to speak with people. Makes me happy. I'm usually one of the last to leave whenever I go to speak. I've been able to give a lot of free information, and to anybody out there, I'm like, hey, you guys, if you want me to analyze this deal, I'll analyze it with you. Yeah, no problem. I'll teach you how it goes. I don't hold a lot of information close to my chest. I'm actually kind of an open book. You know what I mean? Like I'll do this and that, and I've experimented with this. And what I've found out is that, when I put that value into people, I'm like, look, I'm not expecting for you to actually come pay me. A lot of people want to come pay me. I'm like, look, just come. And all I ask is bring me your next deal. You know? And people do. And it's not just them, that they'll tell their friends, and sometimes you'll tell their friends. And before you know it, you've created this community of people that believe in like, hey, I got to send him a deal because he's the guy that knows it. And yeah, I've made a ton of money just from educating people where I didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of people out there that purposely withhold information.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think it has, it's like this scarcity mindset. Oh my God, if I share, then they're going to take away from my pie. When they don't realize that we live in a market that's constantly expanding,
Right.
Like the universe is expanding, the stock market is constantly expanding. Although we have our dips and our downturns, I mean, it doesn't matter. The stock market will always continue to expand. So scarcity mindset, I don't understand it, but I think you are, living and breathing the abundance mindset where you share all this information and then it always comes back to you. I've seen it with my own eyes. I mean, you get a ton of deals and it's always like word of mouth. Actually, when you came in here, we're in Russell Simmons' building at the Texas Real Estate Investment Center.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you did a deal with him.
I did. My biggest deal I've ever done.
Your biggest deal.
Biggest deal.
All right,
ever.
we need to talk about this.
All right.
Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Stuff.
Yeah. We like the sexy stuff. So tell me what happened.
Okay. So I get a call from Russell one day, and he's like, "Hey man, I know you've been doing this apartment thing for a while. I got this guy that has a bunch of Class C apartment complexes, and we want to see if you can list it."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me more about it." And he told me it was like 167 units, and yeah, so he's looking for a broker that's really knows about that kind of space, and you own them, so I couldn't think of anybody better than you. I'm like, "That's great, Russell. You didn't call the broker though." And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you call the buyer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I'll buy that.
So 160 units. What did he offer it to you at?
I think at first we settled on 5.5 million.
5.5.
Yeah.
What was that per door?
Oh man, you'll have to do it. I think it's in the 30s.
Yeah. It was a good deal.
Yeah, it was a really good deal. And so I turn around. I'm like, okay, great. I know that up to this point I can, I've learned a lot of things. I can probably, own them, turn them around, and sell them for a market, market price.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I bought it for 5.5 million, held them for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then turned around and sold them for $10.7 million.
You made over $5 million in profit.
I've made over five. Well, yeah. At the end of it, after paying the fees, taxes, and everything like that, it was like $4.6 million.
4.6, but who's counting?
Who's counting?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It was a really nice payday.
I still remember when you closed this deal, and I think I was like, dude, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, show me your bank.
I thought I was full of shit.
Yeah. I said, show me your bank account. You pulled up your bank account, and you showed me, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is bananas.
But if you remember, and this is a really good point, if you remember, we didn't celebrate the sale.
Mm-hmm.
What do we celebrate?
We celebrate the win.
We
the
celebrate
buy.
the buy. Because in real estate, you make money when you buy.
Right.
If you know the real estate market enough, you're gonna make money when you buy.
Right.
And that's what people say that doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but it makes sense to real estate people.
Right.
So you make money when you buy, you not when you sell.
Right.
When I bought, I was like, shoot, man, I'm gonna take my friends out.
Yeah.
And we went out
we
and
did.
went to Basu and did it big, and it was
bought
awesome.
it. Yeah.
It was like definitely a step up in my career. Very memorable event. And so, but now when I sold, it was very eventless.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like received the money in my wire and an account, and I went to work at 9 a.m. the next day. I'm just like, all right, let's get the next one.
Yeah, you're right. I do remember that now. Yeah, looking back at it, we did go out pretty hard on when you bought it.
When I bought it.
Yeah, when you bought it, you closed on it, and it was a grand celebration. And then afterwards, I remember you got the wire, and it was just like, okay, cool, back to work.
Yeah, it was back to work. Honestly, because by that point, I was already like under contract with more stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy that. It was already invested,
being deployed.
Yeah,
already.
It was already kind of being deployed. It was already like going to work. It just wasn't official until it was in my account.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like the way my mind went. And yeah, that allowed me to kind of boost the growth of the company.
Yeah. How far along was this already into your career? I mean, this happened a couple of years ago, right? I mean, but it took how many years to be able to get to the point where you're like, dude, I'm closing on a $5 million asset, and then I'm selling it for $10 million. You're making close to $5 million in profit. How long did that take from the beginning of your career until that point?
So it was 2022, and I got started around 2010.
12 years.
So yeah, 12 years. There was a lot of stuff that I could have skipped.
Yeah.
Had I had a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Had I had somebody who had to actually tell me, do this, don't do this.
Yeah.
I probably could have skipped a lot of those years and actually learned a lot of lessons from somebody else.
Yeah.
But I'm stubborn, man. I actually just wanted to do it on my own, and I did. So I'm here to tell you, it doesn't take 12 years.
Yeah.
If you're just like, oh man, that's too long, that's fine. You just gotta make sure that you're a sponge and you're taking in all of these lessons and you're working with people you look up to, and you're providing them with value,
right?
So they can actually turn around and give you value. You know, I think we're a very value-driven society, and we give each other value. Sometimes we label it money, but a lot of times it's not like that. Sometimes you just got to bring a deal, and then you got to do things.
Sometimes it's information.
A lot of times it's information. Yeah. That's why, I kind of believe in school, but I believe in specialized school. Like if you want to do something, you actually have to train yourself on it, not just kind of half-ass it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it goes to show, again, like going back to mindset, right? Like it took you 12 years to get to that point. I mean, and to be honest, like I've never seen anyone that reached massive amounts of success, in a year or two. Right. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You need the time to go through the lessons, to understand some values, to understand some skill sets. And most of the people that I've seen that are really crushing it in business, I mean, it takes minimum 5-7 years for all of this to keep going.
Right.
So, which leads me to the next point. Let's talk about mindset right now,
Sure.
and how important it is to be successful, right? Because everyone wants to get rich overnight, right?
Right.
Yeah, they want to skip all the years, they want to skip all the hardships, they want to skip all the lessons.
Right.
But I think there's something to say about going through these lessons and being in the fire and having those sleepless nights. It makes you appreciate everything that you have whenever you do reach success.
Absolutely.
It makes you appreciate everything so much more. So let's talk about that, man. What
Yeah.
what would you say about mindset when it comes to your success?
Yeah. Mindset is something that I believe you kind of have to choose to have, and experience also brings. So both of those things. You have to choose to have it. You have to choose to get in that mentality. But it also comes easier when you've had some experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now looking back through 15 years of anxiety, you know what I mean? Of anxiety. That's what it is. 15 years of anxiety in real estate.
Yep.
I'm like, up so many sleepless nights, just tossing and turning, thinking about that deal. Man, what happens if I don't close it? What happens if this guy doesn't come through? What happens if this guy says this? What happens if this deal falls apart? And looking back at it now is like, hey man, a lot of those times, it didn't end up, you imagine the worst, but it didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
A lot of good things happen, a lot of bad things happen. But like you just said, I think the bad times help you appreciate the good times. If it was just good and you were going to win all the time, it would just kind of be mind bending, right? I mean, like at what point are you just bored? And luckily it's not like that. You have to learn to appreciate the lows. And when you're there, when you're deep down in that hole, and everybody knows what I'm talking about, when you're deep down in there, you kind of you have nobody but yourself to actually let you out, obviously to speak with friends, get a therapist and everything like that, but also believe in experience. Sometimes it's not going to be as bad as you think. Anxiety is a killer, especially in men, you know what I mean? Like, we don't talk to anybody and stuff like that, man. Big proponent of going to therapy, have been for a long time, but we talk about this all the time with my therapist. It's like, hey, look at your experience and look at those similar problems that you've had through the 15 years that you've had. It doesn't end up always being that bad. And sometimes you have to believe in yourself and say, look, of a way out. If the worst happens, all right, let's just get up, dust ourselves off, try it a different way, or maybe get a creative mind that is not in the funk like yours. Get a creative mind and help you think of a solution to this,
Yeah.
And so it's something that you choose to get into, and you're choosing not to get defeated,
Yeah.
When bad things happen to you, just allow yourself to be okay with the fact that you're not there 100%, but then limit that. You have to put a stop to it. All right, cool. I've already kind of moped around long enough.
Right.
Now it's time to get into action. What else can I do? What can I keep doing? And then execute. It's those people that get lost in the sauce, and they just don't get up. And it's like, man, I'm sorry, you're just not cut out for it. What I mean?
Yeah.
You just go get a job or something more stable, because obviously this business can be really jarring. And if you're not willing to get up, dust yourself off, you're just not going to get there. It's a choice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't get easier either. A lot of times it's like, I was under the impression when I just started, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out there and kill it. And I had a lot of success when I first started in real estate. I mean, within like a couple of months, I had like 150,000 in my account within probably 6 months or something like that. And so I thought I was on top of the world, and then I'm doing business, I get kicked in the ass, some bad deals, and it happens in different ways in business, right? First, maybe it's about deals, then it's about maybe people, maybe, you mentioned like being fucked over in the past, like by people.
Yeah.
I mean, so it comes in different ways. It's not just always about maybe even money. It's always sometimes also about like maybe people or experiences or transactions. So it doesn't get any easier. So you just have to learn the skill of constantly, like you said, choosing to get up and say, hey, you know what? I got my ass kicked. This was a bad situation. I got into this bad deal. I got into this bad person, bad relationship, blah, 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 bad partnership. But hey, you know what? I'm going to keep going and just keeping on being relentless, right? I think that's what really sets people apart that really make something for themselves.
Yeah. Right.
They say that we experience the worst things in life in our head, right? And you mentioned it, like you're at home and you're thinking all these things. I remember, doing a lot of real estate transactions and thinking the same thing. Man, what if the buyer doesn't fall through? What am I going to tell the seller? There's a foreclosure happening next week. What am I going to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? And just being worried, out of control. But if you can control your mind and be able to just silence it and say, hey, it's going to be okay, and just talk to yourself and be able to coach yourself through it, I think you get through anything, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, humans are very emotional beings, and so we have to learn that and accept that about us. You know what I mean? We make a lot of emotional decisions, and that's where a lot of stress starts happening. If we're somehow making, like somebody did a study where it's like a robot was put to invest, and people were made to invest, and the robot killed it because it was emotionless.
Yeah.
There was losses, they just cut them. Not us humans were like, oh, we're hoping and praying, and now we're gambling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so if you can learn to accept emotion and that it happens, notice yourself when you have a win. You're like, oh, heck yeah, you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
And then when you're down, you're like, oh man, I'm like, this sucks and I can't really do this and blah blah. Those are all okay, but just realize that you're doing it and get up and try it again.
What are the top 3 qualities that you would say, or skills regarding mindset that you would say has gotten you to the level of success that you're at today?
The top 3 qualities, I would say obviously that it gets easier the more I do it, because I fight my demons with experience.
So it gets easier over long periods of time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
I mean, you've been doing this for 15 years.
I've been doing
right?
this for 15 years, so now it's like, okay, now I'm so confident in the way that I'm going to tackle a problem that I become creative.
Right.
Like, okay, what if I pull in this and this and this, and what if I tell this guy this and blah? What if I offer this guy this? So I'm like, I pull in negotiation, I pull in technique, I pull in knowledge, I put in other people that are smarter than me. I put things together. I'm not saying I'm the most smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
I never said that.
Right.
I just said, like I just think about ways I can actually get this done. It's like, okay, this didn't work, but maybe this will and this will. Maybe I'll talk to this guy and maybe he'll bring this guy in.
Yeah.
And
the art of the deal.
The art of the deal. It's like, what is the other side? What's important to them, and maybe I can provide some more of that. Maybe this wholesaler is bringing me this deal, but is also thinking about selling to somebody else. What is really important to this wholesaler? It's getting this transaction again. What if I tell him I'm going to teach him how to value commercial real estate, because instead of actually not doing it, or maybe he's not getting that offer from the other side, he's going to come my way 10 times out of 10. I'm like, bro, I'm going to teach you how to actually value this, so you know exactly what to do next time, and you can bring me more deals. I'm like, and then we can do more and grow together. That's exactly what I was talking about, adding value. Use that as a tool for negotiation as well. And so because I'm able to do that, and because I'm more experienced now, it becomes easier.
Yeah.
It's not so easy when you don't know things. That's why I'm a big proponent of education and actually educating your mind and learning from others.
Get obsessed with learning.
Get obsessed with learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 qualities of mindset. You mentioned 1.
Sorry. Yeah. So 1,
Bringing you back to it.
Yeah. So I would say obviously experience, creativity. Again, to not beat a dead horse. Creativity. Make sure that when you're walking a property, it doesn't have to be the same thing. Can you add more bedrooms? Can you add more units? Can you split it and maybe 1 bedroom becomes 2 bedrooms? Or maybe 2 studios.
Or I would even say, just creativity. Just being creative in everything. Because we're talking about mindsets here, you're able to be creative even in doing a transaction, right? So I think, just to your point, being creative in everything that you do, right?
Everything.
If you're able to be creative in all aspects of your life, whether it's in real estate or in doing a transaction or real estate deal, if you're able, or even if it's maybe dealing with your spouse or others, like being creative, making them happy, everything. Exactly. Being creative, I feel like has led you to a lot of success.
Yeah, that is just not just career advice. That's life advice for sure.
Yeah.
Being creative actually has led me to a lot of cool places, man, where I'm like, I'm not looking at it like this, but I'm looking at it three-dimensionally. I'm thinking about it in a different way.
I love that, dude. It's amazing. What's the third thing, the third quality for mindset?
The third quality for mindset is think outside of the box.
Yeah.
Which also kind of is creativity, but thinking outside of the box actually has allowed me to expand my horizons. So I'm like, okay, if somebody tells you that you can only go so far, and I do push the envelope, I would say that's kind of like another thing. It's like, okay,
maybe your third one is
pushing the envelope. Maybe that is
contrarian. Being a contrarian,
but also pushing the envelope, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but what if I do this? What if I push it a little farther? What if this is gonna be kind of controversial, but like maybe sometimes it's better to say sorry than please. Sometimes.
Yeah. Ask for forgiveness instead of
exactly instead of permission.
Yeah.
And so it's true when it comes to kind of rehabbing. And so obviously it's not going to help you much in your personal life, but in business it means a lot. Sometimes just thinking like, okay, man, I'll just do this, and then later on I'll try to make it up some other way because I'm more confident that I can solve that problem instead of this problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can get that much farther. And usually when you get there and you're like, okay, cool, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Right.
Right. And so kind of pushing the envelope, kind of just kind of being a little controversial there, but that has allowed me to be different than anybody else.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I even see it like in our friend group, like for the most part, I feel like, and we do this really well with each other, is where we like kind of challenge each other and really push each other, and in a very nice, friendly way. I think that helps out a lot to challenge the status quo, right? To challenge what we're saying and to challenge even our own mindsets or our own thought at whatever conversation we're having. So
exactly.
I love that. I think that's helped me out a lot too. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Man, we've talked about a lot of things here today.
It's been good.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you, and we've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm glad that we're finally getting a chance to do it.
Pleasure, bro.
Bro, thank you. Before we end it today, where can people find more about you? Where can people find out about? I mean, we mentioned Crew University. We mentioned maybe like even selling you a deal. How can people reach you?
So on Crew, if you want to reach out to that, and go to that domain, it's creu.online, and you can find out more about the online university. If you want to do a business deal together and you kind of are looking to, or maybe you have a deal in mind and you're looking to learn, I'm usually willing to offer that if we do a deal together and you want to be enrolled in that online school, I'll do it for free. I'll give it to you for free. It's usually $3,000. I'll give it to you for free. All you got to do is bring me a deal. And so email me, boris@sanmore.com. Email me deals. I love seeing deals, looking at deals. I'm addicted to it. I make at least 10 offers a day.
Nice. Yeah.
And so, please do that. Other than that, just by being, your dear listener, I'm willing to extend a $200 coupon.
Nice.
If you just kind of wanted to go out and purchase it.
Yeah.
Just got to mention the keyword Josue.
There you go. So for anyone that's listening, if you want, get obsessed with learning, right? So this is, I can't think of anyone better to learn commercial real estate from than Boris Sanchez. So if you want to learn about commercial real estate, do yourself a favor, go to crew.online, $200 off. If you're listening to this podcast, just mention Josue and you're going to get it. So
yeah,
dude, thank you so much for being here, man. I
welcome.
had a blast.
Cool, man. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
So did I. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
All right.